Hello, my name is Fadhlina and I will be talking about the anatomy of the brain. So, the head is the superior part of the body that is attached to the trunk by the neck. It houses the brain, which is the central organ of the nervous system, responsible for processing information, controlling bodily functions, and enabling cognitive and emotional processes. The brain is a complex organ that controls thought, memory, emotion, touch, motor skills, vision, breathing, temperature, hunger, and every process that regulates our body. Together, the brain and spinal cord that extends from it make up the central nervous system, or for short, CNS. The brain weighs about 3 pounds in the average adult, and the brain is about 60% fat. The remaining 40% is a combination of water, protein, carbohydrates, and salts. The neurocranium is the bony case around the brain and the membranous coverings, the cranial meninges. Neurocranium provides support and protection for the delicate neural tissues. They consist of several bones that fuse together during development to form a rigid and durable structure. The cranial meninges or brain meninges, on the other hand, is a set of 3 layers of protective covering surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. The 3 layers of the cranial meninges from outermost to innermost are: first, dura mater. The dura mater is the toughest and outermost layer of the meninges. It is a thick, dense bilaminar membrane, which is also called the peckymenin. The dura mater consists of 2 layers in certain areas, such as the cranial vault, the periosteal layer which attaches to the inner surface of the skull, and the meningeal layer, a strong fibrous membrane which lies beneath the periosteal layer. The dura mater contains blood vessels that supply nutrients to the outer layers of the brain. So, the second layer is the arachnoid mater. The arachnoid mater is a thin, delicate membrane located beneath the dura mater. It forms a loose membrane resembling spider web that extends into cerebral sulci and surrounds the brain. The space between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater is known as the subarachnoid space, which contains cerebrospinal fluid (CSF), trabecular cells, arteries, and veins. The arachnoid mater helps protect the brain and spinal cord and plays a role in the circulation and absorption of CSF. The third layer is pia mater. The pia mater is the innermost layer of the meninges and is in direct contact with the brain and spinal cord. It is a thin and delicate membrane that adheres closely to the surface of the brain and follows all its contours. The pia mater contains numerous tiny blood vessels that supply oxygen and nutrients to the underlying neural tissues. Moving on, gray and white matter are 2 different regions of the central nervous system. In the brain, gray matter refers to the darker outer portion, while white matter describes the lighter inner section underneath. In the spinal cord, this order is reversed. The white matter is on the outside and the gray matter sits within. Gray matter is primarily composed of neuronal cell bodies, or also called neuron somas, also dendrites and unmyelinated axons. It gets its name from its grayish appearance due to the presence of cell bodies and dendrites, as well as capillaries and glial cells. So next, the human brain is divided into 4 main lobes, each associated with different functions and responsible for various cognitive and sensory processes. So first lobe is the parietal lobe. It is involved in processing sensory information related to touch, temperature, pain, and body awareness, proprioception. The parietal lobe helps integrate sensory input or information from different modalities and contributes to spatial awareness, which helps in understanding the body's position in space, manipulation of objects, and navigation. The next one is the frontal lobe, which is involved in higher level cognitive functions including reasoning, decision-making, problem-solving, planning, and judgment. The frontal lobe also plays a role in motor control, personality, and emotions, and speech production because it involves broadcast area within the frontal lobe. So the next one is the temporal lobe. So the temporal lobe is primarily associated with auditory processing, memory formation, and visual processing. The temporal lobe houses the primary auditory cortex, which processes sound, as well as the hippocampus, a structure crucial for learning and memory. The last one is the occipital lobe, which is primarily responsible for visual processing. The occipital lobe contains the primary visual cortex, which receives and interprets visual information from the eyes. It helps analyze color, visual, shapes, and motion. So, moving on to the next part, which is example diseases. An example of brain diseases is Alzheimer's disease, which is a progressive degeneration of brain cells, a neurodegenerative disorder that primarily affects memory, cognitive function, and behavior. It is the most common cause of dementia. Key characteristics and early stages symptoms of Alzheimer's disease include memory loss, for example, difficulty remembering recent events, conversations, and newly learned information. Another disease is epilepsy. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder characterized by recurrent seizures. Seizures occur due to abnormal and excessive electric activity in the brain, which can be focal, localized to a specific area, or generalized, affecting the entire brain. Some of the treatment approaches commonly used for brain diseases includes supportive therapy, surgery, psychotherapy, and medications. So the first one is supportive therapy. This aims to provide comfort, assistance, and guidance to individuals with brain diseases and their families. Various forms of support include rehabilitation and education and counseling. The next one is surgery. In some cases, brain diseases may require surgical interventions for treatment. For example, include epilepsy surgery, which is the removal or isolation of the area of the brain responsible for seizures, and tumor removal. The next one is psychotherapy. So psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy or counseling, can be beneficial for individuals with brain diseases and their families. It focuses on addressing emotional, psychological, and behavioral aspects of the condition. An example of psychotherapy is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Medications, which is commonly used to manage symptoms, slow disease progression, or alleviate specific issues associated with brain diseases. Examples include cholinesterase inhibitors, which is medications like donepezil, rivastigmine, and galantamine, are prescribed for individuals with Alzheimer's disease to help manage cognitive symptoms. Other examples are antileptic drugs to reduce the frequency and severity of seizures in individuals with epilepsy, and also example is antidepressants and anxiolytics to manage depression, anxiety, or mood disorders. One example of a neurologist in Malaysia is Dr. Wan Ashraf Wan Zaidi, with expertise in medicine, in neurology and stroke medicine, He is also the first Malaysian ever admitted to the inaugural World Stroke Organization WSO's Future Stroke Leaders Program. That's all from me. Thank you.